With less than 3 months until the midterms, House Democrats are adding more Republican seats to their target list as they look to take back control of the House of Representatives. The DCCC, the organization charged with getting House Democrats elected, is now eyeing 58 Republican districts they think they could put in play. A party needs 218 seats to control the House. Right now, Democrats have 212 seats with several vacancies. And joining me now is Republican Congressman Mike Flood, who represents one of the Nebraska districts Democrats have their sights on. Congressman, thanks so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me on.
Well, let's start right there. Democrats do see your district as a potential pickup. How confident are you can hold on to your seat? How do you plan to do it?
Well, these are D.C. Beltway Democrats that know how Nebraska works. I won my race in 22 by 16 points, my last race by 20 points. I've got lots of money in the bank. My opponent doesn't have hardly anything. And I have delivered on housing affordability. I wrote the bill. I back money to the state of Nebraska, $89 million. That's in the top 2% of all 435 of us. I run the Main Street Caucus. I'm one of the only members of Congress on both sides that are holding town halls. And so I imagine you're sitting in the Beltway and you see somebody yelling at me on CNN. You think, oh, my gosh. The reality is that's 10 to 15 people out of 300 or 400 that have an opinion, and they just want to get loud and obnoxious TV, where I am meeting people where they're at. I'm in the community. I am delivering for the American people, and most notably for Nebraska. So I feel good about this cycle.
Congressman Flood, you take me to my next question. I do want to ask you, you had a spirited town hall late last month, and we should note, look, not all of your colleagues are choosing to do town halls right now. What's the top concern you are hearing from your constituents?
Well, home affordability, making ends meet, having a chance at the American dream. And that's why, as the chairman of the Housing Committee, we passed the most comprehensive housing legislation in 36 years. And I was excited to be able to tell my constituents that we wrote that bill. It went through Nebraska. I know that when you watch town halls, there are people there. Their goal is to get on TV. Their goal is to have a viral moment. Not all of them, just a handful of them. But I get a lot out of these town halls. I have an opportunity to defend my votes, but more importantly, to answer questions. And I think more often than not, I have independent voters that come up to me and they say, hey, Mike, I may not agree with you on every single position you have, but I do appreciate that you're out in the town square and you are dealing with the issues. And that's as much as some of them can ask, they say, and they're willing to vote for me.
Let me ask you, because in an interview with Punchbowl last week, the president was questioned about whether voters who turned out for him in 2024 would turn out in the midterms. I want to play a little bit of that conversation, get your reaction.
The question is, will they vote? Because a lot of them are very angry at Republicans, to be honest with you. They're
Why is that?
I don't know. I mean, they're angry at Republicans, but they're not angry at me.
Why?
They're not angry at me, but they are angry at Republicans.
They are angry at Republicans, but not him. What do you make of that from the president?
My guess is he's referencing the SAVE Act to secure our elections and voter ID, something that I voted for 3 times in the House. And quite frankly, we have that in Nebraska already. It's something that we put in state law. So you have to show your ID when you go to the polls. Listen, I know that when the president's in power, the other party struggles. That's something that we've seen for 100 years. So we shouldn't be dismissive of that. That's why we have to be out. We have to be talking about what we've accomplished. Hey, we passed the largest tax cut in our nation's history. No taxes on tips, Social Security, overtime. You can pass the family farm on to the next generation without abusive death taxes. The child tax credit has been extended. There are so many good things that we have done in Congress in the last 2 years. It's on us as Republicans to get out there and share that message. We are the party that's unified. The Democrats are the ones who are having these proxy battles in every primary in the nation, where the choices are, do you want to defund the police, shut down prisons, eliminate the Thanksgiving holiday, have government grocery stores? Listen, that's splintering their party while we are united on making things more affordable and keeping Americans safe.
Do you worry, though, that that kind of language from the president could backfire, could ultimately hurt all of you, particularly given this climate where he's facing some of his lowest approval ratings since he took office?
Listen, the president is focused and has been on the SAVE Act from the start. I think it reflects his frustration with where that process is at, most notably in the Senate. It's the same reason he didn't sign the housing bill. He wants to keep focus on election integrity and passing the SAVE Act. That's his strategy. My strategy is to be out in the middle of the town square, deliver for the people of Nebraska, make sure the University of Nebraska has the money it needs for ag research, make sure our farmers have crop insurance and markets for our corn and our beans, and getting year-round E15. That's what I have to deliver on. That's what I'm going to be judged on. And I'm confident going into November, we will be successful.
Let's turn to the war with Iran. President Trump said it would be completed in a matter of weeks. We're now heading to the 6th month. The president telling Axios earlier this week the U.S. is low-keying it when it comes to the war and semi-negotiating. Do you think that this could ultimately be a drag on your chances, on Republicans in tough districts, chances for re-election?
Well, I'll be honest. I go to Hy-Vee, which is our local grocery store, and prices are too high. I don't want to ever dismiss that. That is important, and some of that is tied back to our efforts in the Middle East. Iran is a nation that has vowed death to America for the better part of 50 years. They wake up and they threaten us with dirty bombs and nuclear bombs, and they are funding terrorism against us and our allies. The president is dealing with the cards that he's been dealt in a very dangerous region. My barber, 85 years old, been cutting my hair since I was a newborn. He said to me, I said to him, what do you think about Iran? He said, now's not the time to cut and run. Let's finish the job so we don't have to deal with these people for another 50 years. And I think that's where a lot of Americans are at.
Well, most Americans disapprove of the war, and we're learning that families of sailors aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln now sounding the alarm on low morale, deteriorating conditions on the USS Lincoln in particular. President Trump was asked about whether that deployment has gone on too long, and he told my colleague Julie Sirkin, quote, not long enough. What do you make of the president's response? Do you think he's taking this issue seriously enough?
Well, first of all, my prayers go out to the men and women of the armed forces every day, especially sailors on that aircraft carrier and any aircraft carrier, any vessel, any deployment. We have to put their mental health as a priority concern. I am having a hard time understanding why the Democrats won't work with us to replace our munitions so that we can keep our national security strong while they're making some statement that is really hurting our troops more than anything. The president believes in the armed forces. I was at Dover Air Force Base when those 7 bodies came overseas back to Delaware. I saw him react to those coffins. He feels that. He knows that. He's in their corner. And I know he appreciates everything that they're doing. They've got a terribly hard job. We had trouble getting the Democrats to work with us to fund the government. The Coast Guard wasn't getting paid, and yet every single Republican was voting to make the paychecks work, and no Democrats were.
But should he be downplaying the concerns of these family members? We have to be honest about what's going on here. But Congressman, should he be downplaying the concerns of these family members? He was basically said he doesn't think there's an issue aboard the USS Lincoln, and again, he said they haven't been deployed for long enough. Is that taking those issues seriously?
Well, first of all, he's the president of the United States, and he has a lot more information about what's happening on that ship than I do. I know the president supports our troops. He believes in our troops. He's been the one working with Secretary Hegseth to improve our military and return that warfighting spirit to the Department of War. So if this question is, does Donald Trump support the men and women of the United States Armed Forces? Unequivocally, yes. When you're the commander-in-chief, you've got a really hard job, just like those men and women and the sailors on that aircraft carrier. If there are issues, let's get them dealt with. Let's make sure those sailors know that we're in their corner. And by the way, let's replenish our munitions and stop playing political games with funding for the U.S. Armed Forces.
All right, Congressman Mike Flood, we're going to watch your race very closely. Thank you so very much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.